Hello. Right, so Simon did touch briefly on some of the partner stuff earlier. I'm here to give you, or to take you into a little bit more of a deeper dive, explain the background, the history behind the platform, behind SIP-centric, where we've come from, and where we are today in terms of more recent developments, the roadmap for Q2 and beyond. Give you a couple of demos, introduce my my glamorous assistant Frazer for a 10-15 minute demo of the partner portal and apps, and then take any questions afterwards. It's quite an exciting time, but first let's just give you a little bit of a history, the background of where we came from. Lovely 2010-esque SIP-centric logo there. Founded late 2010, designed to be an end-user service, an end-user hosted service only, to provide on-demand, easy, simple to use internet-based phone systems for startups and for small businesses. That changed reasonably soon afterwards with the introduction of the white-labelled tier, which came around in about late 2010 by request from one of our larger customers at the time, who was introducing their customers one by one, and it became apparent that it was actually a good opportunity for them to white label the platform, for them to buy from us, and for them to sell to their customers and maintain that separation. As I say, originally end user only, but very shortly after we introduced the partner tier, and that was really valuable because that gave us some real world experience. It enabled us to grow the feature set, to develop the functionality around what users really needed rather than what we thought they needed. And it allowed us to grow, also begin to grow much quicker than we could have done with a direct to route or a direct to market product. I joined personally the Communicator project in 2012 because we were using the Communicator very heavily as part of the core SIP, or the underlying SIP routing mechanisms of the platform, and specifically there was a focus by me at least on developing the DMQ project, which is essentially a means to cluster Communicator and distribute state in an elastic and scalable way. Communicator is still used heavily to this day, so thank you to Daniel and the rest of the development team, obviously, for all their efforts over the years, way long before I joined, and contributed. But we continue to contribute where we can to open source in general, particularly Communicator, because I believe at least that it is, and has been for a long time, the beating heart of the industry today. It enables innovation, it enables progress, it enables new entrants, it enables all sorts of things which closed off proprietary platforms just don't do, and they don't develop at the same rate or the same speed as open source. But it's important to give back, and that's what we continue to do. I know Simwood as well, historically have been of the same mindset, and have used open source software in many ways along the way, but have also championed the open source community. They sponsored events, given back code, contributed back code, and that's the way that the industry survives. That's the way the open source software community survives, and we'll continue to do that. So architecture. The use of open source software is great, and it's very powerful, allows us to do some really neat things. But in order to scale it, we need to be able to use it in the right way. We need to organize and arrange the network, the application and the overall platform to ensure that it's not only scalable, but it's reliable and it works. I think we did a reasonably good job of doing that from day one, because it was always at the forefront of our minds when designing it. I'll touch on the network very briefly, but I'd much prefer to sort of give you more information on the application architecture itself. But essentially, we're arranged into availability zones. Every availability zone is a complete replica of every other, so it can stand up on its own with plenty of capacity. There are redundant routes between, and we have over the years had a data center completely unavailable. The remainders have continued to operate successfully and completely unbeknown to customers and to partners. So that that works. But I think nowadays that's reasonably typical of a network architecture, where our kind of where our success has been, I think, is in architecting the application stack and the platform to allow it to scale. Now, quite a lot of detail here, but broadly, we have an edge. Everything from outside comes through that edge, and everything behind it is essentially the brains of the operation. But we don't expose anything to ourselves that we don't expose to our own apps, that we don't expose to other people's apps, other consumers of the service. That's really important, because it means that we're always offering the latest tools and developments to everybody. There's nothing closed about it. Right through the stack, from the SIP endpoints and functionality, registrations, presence, and just general sort of SIP routing, through to WebSockets for WebRTC enablement, calling in a browser, accessing this kind of information, this kind of present state through the WebSockets, right the way through to the RESTful APIs, streaming APIs that are consumed by the web apps, and more recently, the mobile apps, which I'll go into in a bit more detail shortly. Media servers behind, doing all the sort of heavy lifting in terms of codec translation and media recording, playing music on hold, those sorts of things, all the way back. Everything is asynchronous, so communication through the layers can scale. There's nothing which is blocking at all, right the way through to the data storage at the back, which obviously is replicated across data zones, across availability zones, and highly resilient. The data stores we use are kind of relevant to the use case. So analytics is a really powerful feature of the platform, which if you are Simwood partners already, I think Steve, Michael over there, Matt, you've probably sort of had a play around with the analytics functionality as well. Really powerful, really fast, powered by Elasticsearch there. Redis we use heavily for caching, so it enables us to query data really quickly in call setup, and it avoids any kind of PDD issues, any long delays. And essentially, then, as I say, the API exposes everything. API exposes all functionality. We've developed this API-first approach. The reason for doing that is because it enables us to develop front-end. It develops us to develop UI and user experience at a much faster rate. It enables us to specialize, to have a team of sort of specialist front-end developers entirely consuming an API. Every single feature exposed through the API, as I say, from configuration to call origination and control, to events, to reporting, analytics, and everything in between. Every single one of our front-end applications, so that's everything from the portal to the analytics software to the WebRTC clients and everything else in between, is entirely powered by the API. As we develop new functionality, that API-first approach continues. We develop the API, we expose it, we build it into the apps. What does this mean? More importantly, it means that partners and their customers are also empowered and have access to the latest tools at their disposal. Now, it's great from a technical perspective, but commercially, I think in today's marketplace, differentiation is everything. It's one area that our platform has really sort of stood apart from most of the others on the market today. How do we do that? Everything is white labeled by default. Since late 2011, that has been the de facto. We build something, we build it with rebrandability in mind. API. So if one of your users inspects a request in the browser, it's going to an API endpoint on your domain. Portal, similarly, in the address bar of the browser, it's on your domain. Apps, emails coming from your domain with your branding, your logo, your everything. It's all white labeled. We also have a billing system in place which enables the partner to build unlimited numbers of price plans, packages, bundles, tariffs, in order to differentiate their offering and match their end users' needs in terms of how it looks, how it feels, where it sits commercially. The API itself, from a technical standpoint, also allows you, if you really want to differentiate and add functionality on top of what's there already. Now, that's something which many other platforms don't allow you to do. We have existing partners who, over the years, have built some really incredible sort of enhancements to the platform. Anything from what we're seeing now with partners actually sort of not using the out-of-the-box front-end apps and building entirely their own portals and their own interfaces, or integrating with their existing portals and interfaces. We have partners who have developed bespoke software solutions for medical practices, for home delivery companies, and the crux of this is that they generally operate in their niche, in their sort of area that they know, and they build a relationship with customers, and they understand their customers, and their customers need a solution for their circumstances. Doing something like this makes for a really sticky proposition, because you're developing something which is entirely matching their needs, rather than trying to make something else fit. It's sticky because once they're using it and it is meeting their needs, they tend to stay. So we've seen some really good success with that. It doesn't mean that developing bespoke solutions is the only way to differentiate, but it's just one of the ways that we enable you to do so. Let's do a bit of a demo. Frazer? It is. Oh, yours.
Yeah, it's on there. Just to fill you in, I don't know if any of you know, but the title of this talk came from me. Working with Charles over the last 6 months or so, it's been a really sort of different experience, and he's got a calming sort of presence and persona. So it is the Charles effect that we've got in Simwood now, and followed by all the architecture and system. Go on, then. Oh, you need to get up there.
Yeah, how do I move that?
Drag
to this
it.
one? Let's try that. There it is, other way.
God, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
Look to the left as I'm doing it. So we've done quite a few of these demos over the last few months, since we've been putting some marketing effort into this. And we've done it two ways. You can either demonstrate from the partner side or from the customer side. And I found actually recently doing some of the customer side first has been quite interesting. So I won't spend too long on it because all of you guys know PBXs, you know features, you know functions, so I won't bore you with it, but so you can see the dashboard, what it looks like, how fresh and clean this is. This is one of the reasons why we were so attracted to this platform. It has all your basic stuff such as inbound phone numbers, the ability to have extensions, ring groups, call queues, all of the usual things you'd expect. The ability to have a phone number, and you can switch it from phone to fax, you know, in the click of a couple of buttons. Very, very easy. So yeah, it's a really fresh, clean interface with everything you'd expect. Call recording, all part and parcel of it. So you've got admin features. Customers don't have access to all these, but you can enable people to be able to turn features on and off. You can keep control, or you can take it away from your customers. There's plenty of things there. The analytics part that Charles was just referring to is in these kind of apps. So you can do wallboard type functionality, and it's particularly powerful for those in call centres. So you can see the calls waiting, how long people have been in a queue, whether people hang up and bounce out of queues and things like that. So this is the powerful part that Charles just referred to. Now, we spend roughly an hour, 1 to 2 hours doing these demos. I've got about 15 minutes, but I also recognise you guys all know PBXs, so I won't bore you with this stuff, and I'll dive back into the actual partner controls. So from a partner point of view, they've got the ability to add customers. You can see I've made some sort of generic names in here already. When you're creating a customer, you can at that point decide what price plan they're on. You can decide whether you want to charge them for features or not. You want to charge them for a seat, have inclusive minutes. You would create your own price plans in here. And that's the same for tariffs. You can see I've put some stupid names in against these different price plans, but you get the gist of it. You've got a customer you like, give them a decent tariff. You've got a customer you don't like, more expensive, or vice versa. Various different reasons for it. Same for bundles. You've got the ones that are included in the seats. I made a Brexit special on theme topic, and various other items within there. But it gives you full control over everything. The branding part is the bit that we haven't displayed in this demo, but you can, when we go back to the custom one where we were over here, all of this would be representative of whatever brand, your logo, your colour schemes, that kind of thing in there. It's got all your kind of encryption and all the things you'd expect, the ability to upload whole music and things like that, shared mailboxes, whole music, all the standard stuff. Now that was a very, very quick demo. There's more we can dive into, like CDRs, those types of things. The event log and snapshot viewer are particularly interesting, where if you have an issue that you, perhaps maybe an admin on your account delete something or whatever, you can roll back to the previous day. So it takes a snapshot at midnight every night, and then you can take it back to the day before if something drastic happens. Most of the time you wouldn't need to do that, because as an admin you'd have full control over your customers and can go in and restore things on a per customer basis. But all in all, that's pretty it. I won't bore you with it too much. The general gist of it is you've got full control over your customers. You can create your own pricing, create your own bundles, and kind of go from there. No, that was a lot quicker than 15 minutes.
It was 5 minutes.
I promised you longer, but these.
Questions, Fraser.
I can do.
Yeah, questions for Fraser.
Oh, there we are then. Saves me running around.
You just talked about a shared mailbox.
I didn't. it was on the screen.
Yeah, I thought you did.
It is there. Go on.
Yeah, if you have got a shared mailbox scenario, let's say, there's 5 people that all accept sales calls and you've got a generic sales mailbox, can you make the presence of calls in that mailbox show up on the message waiting indicators of those people's phones?
Yes. He did that without moving his lips.
Ventriloquist.
And for part 2, when their MWI is flashing, is there a way of them knowing whether it's flashing for their personal mailbox or their shared mailbox?
That's a good question.
Not currently.
Just wondered. Okay.
Unless the handset supports the displaying of the body of the MWM, then it will obviously show the mailbox
Right.
name.
Okay, I'm with you. Thank you.
Do you have any other questions on the demo?
What, me?
Anyone?
Hang on. Ask again for the
sorry.
stream people.
Can you bulk import settings, i.e. so you don't have to type in hundreds of DDIs at once?
Kind of. It's a good question. When you go to create the customer in the first instance, you can at that point decide how many people there are and save the manual adding of 50 to 100 people. You can certainly do that, but putting all of their names and things against the extensions, that's something you would have to populate.
Don't forget there is the API. So any of this can be done through the API if you're that way inclined. There's no facility through the portal at the moment to upload configuration. Although we're always happy to help with that. If you provide a CSV, we can import it ourselves.
Cool.
Jason's got a question.
Just got hit in the face. Thanks, Simon.
Sorry.
So while I recover, what endpoints are supported? Presumably SIP phones, but does it also support things like WebRTC or native apps for Android, iOS?
Yes.
Will
So
those?
both SIP endpoints with sort of regular SIP messages over UDP, TCP, TLS. The WebRTC endpoint is there as well. It's essentially a WebRTC to SIP gateway. So you can connect as a WebSocket and then the SIP messages will go over using something like JSSIP or some other library, ML5.
So there's the one that's built in, isn't there? The Communicator.
There is
one.
Communicator there already, which is a front-end app which actually consumes that. So if you're logged in as a partner level user, so that's not going to...
I'm not clicking
You're
it.
not going to have an extension to use. I can demo that actually just afterwards if you like. Although Simon demoed...
Yeah, that was in my
demoed
talk
that.
earlier, but
Yeah.
I don't think Jason was here for that.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I missed that.
Okay. But yes, both SIP and WebRTC endpoints.
Brilliant. Back over to you then.
Any other questions on that? No. Okay, great. Let's try.
Oh, just had a question on the stream, Charles, from Darren.
Yeah.
Does it have per tenant music on hold?
Yes.
Thank you.
Shall I? Oh, this is where I need to do it backwards, isn't it? Oh. You're
We
not
can
wrong,
set it
Simon.
to
This is
mirror.
really, really...
Yeah, if you set it to mirror, Charles. Yeah, I'm getting there.
I don't know how to do that, sorry.
Oh, a
CTO.
question here. Oh, okay, thank you.
There, okay. So this is a tenant. Obviously, it happens to be a tenant called Simwood, just for the demo purposes. Here we have hold music without any uploaded. They get the system default. If they upload their own, they then get their own hold music. Okay, to answer the question.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I was just replying to the next one, but I've got it covered. You good?
Cool. Right, so that's kind of taken us to the point at which this demo should have started. Let's play again. Awesome. Okay, so that's where we're at today. Since October, which is the time at which we joined the Simwood family, the Simwood group, there have been lots of developments underway over the past few months. These include inclusive seat pricing. So we as SIP-centric, did not package minutes into seat prices. Every feature was sold on a component by component basis. We recognise, sure, that although our aim is not to try to compete on price alone, we recognise that as a simple sell, or to make the sell as easy as possible, this packaging, this bundling, was actually made sense. Because users understand that when you're quoting how much is it going to cost me, how many users do you have, it's your number of users times this price, and that even includes your calls. So that's nice. To enable that, we introduced some better price plan management to enable you to expose that model to your end users. We improved the analytics functionality. So rather than just being able to query historic data, we were providing it in real time. So that enables additional things like queue stats, seeing who's in a call in a queue at any one time, whether you're meeting your SLA, your defined SLA, and the like. Also, to be able to receive, to be able to create slideshows. We had a partner who was using these wallboards really extensively, but then came back with an issue. They said, well, we've got a customer with 3 different queues. They're all on the same floor in the building, with one big wallboard. So we can't display these multiple queue dashboards at once. So we implemented slideshows, which solves that very problem. That actually introduced another problem in that these dashboards being present on a very expensive screens for such a long time, whilst I'm sure screen burn is not so much of an issue today as it used to be. The partner was a little bit concerned, so we about how long these were on the screens for. So we incorporated some nice little sort of screen burn protection, and to alleviate any concern there. Abandoned call alerts. So these are really nice. If a caller leaves the queue after a minimum defined time, but before they're answered, triggers alerts straight away. Now that's an example of an email, but it does also also triggers a webhook or an event into the streaming API. And last but not least, the really exciting thing, which Simon touched on earlier, and has been long awaited by many partners, is the mobile version of Communicator. Now, it is a native version of our existing browser app in a sense, in that it's WebRTC under the hood. That is easier said than done when it comes to native mobile, particularly using something like React Native, which Dan, if he's still in the room, will probably vouch for. No, he's not. But the guys who all stood at the back there have spent an incredible amount of effort and time making this work. But the result is really encouraging. Battery usage is minimal, in fact negligible. Encryption by default, obviously being WebRTC. But it's not just a soft phone, because we realised that soft phones were available in their hundreds on the app stores. People are using soft phones of all kinds for our platform today, but all it is a soft phone. What it doesn't do is integrate with the platform specific features, such as busy lamp field. Really nice feature to have in a soft phone. Shared contacts, visual voicemail, everything in between there, accessing call recordings and your call history and things. I'll give you a demo of that in a second. However, again, perhaps the most interesting part of the app and the exciting part of the app for you guys or for any potential partners is that it's completely rebrandable. That will take two flavors, partial and full. Partial is kind of the default. It's the one that will be included in bundled seats, and whilst it's published under the same developer account and will have a generic login page to begin with, as soon as your user logs in, it recognizes which partner that user belongs to and springs to life with all of that partner's branding. And of course, from that point on, it's already logged in and it retains that branding for the duration of it being installed on the phone. For those partners that want to go to the next level of rebranding, then there is the option, or there will be the option, of a full rebrand, whereby we package the app complete with your own branding, bundled into the app itself. We create a binary. It's published to you under your name on the app stores, which means then it has your icon and you can direct your users to your store. It then will have your own login screen, and it doesn't have to fetch the branding because it's there. Now that will attract, it's undecided at the moment because we're very early days into the sort of commercials of it. The full will clearly attract a fee for doing that, whereas the partial, because it's in the store already, is there, and it's free within bundled plans, or the nominal 150 per seat charge if not. Example of a branded app, which again Simon showed earlier. This is Windsor's, who kindly allowed us to use their branding as an example. All the same screens, all the same functionality, but springs to life with this branding as soon as the user logs in. So, time for a demo, I think. Yeah. And this is, I'm told, here we are. This is, I'm told, where it all goes wrong. So let's try and get rid of the glare. Okay, so the dialer, I don't know, the usual features such as the transfer, hold. We can, if that's on hold, we can go and we're on another call. We can see, if I can get it, there you go. Ongoing calls. We can act upon those calls, transfer them, hang up, and those sorts of things. All of the things that you would expect of a soft phone, but very, very tightly integrated with the platform and fit for purpose. Your contacts or extensions all listed there for quick access, but also the busy lamp field displaying there the state of their extensions. Your call history. When you drill down into the calls, you've got available call recordings for that call, so you can listen to the recordings on the move. And also all of your extension level features. Anything from your default caller ID to your voicemail to your forwarding rules, turning call recording on and off. It's all there in the app. So actually now, extension users don't need to be logging into the web portal all the time. It's all there in the palm of their hands. Cool. Oh, another nice feature, actually, that I was going to show you is every extension or every seat on the system has default caller ID. So that means when they're calling out, it will present that by default. But one of the requests that we keep receiving is the ability to change that caller ID dynamically on a per call basis. The typical reason for that is where a member of staff is acting on behalf of multiple companies or multiple departments, and it's not very easy from a desk phone to be able to do that without registering multiple lines and having each line with a different outbound caller ID. That introduces additional cost, additional limitations in terms of the handsets that you use, etc. So with this, at the point of the call, you can decide which caller ID you use to make that call. Okay, so really sort of powerful. Private beta only at the moment for what I would say the rest of this month to get some feedback. So we really need that feedback. And afterwards and later this evening, if anybody wants to use it and test it for us, please come and see me. So that's developments to date. Roadmap moving forward, so Q2 and beyond of this year. Coming soon. Again, Simon stole all my thunder by announcing everything earlier, but that's great because you knew what to expect. But now I'll sort of give you a bit more detail. Residential, really exciting. The way that the platform's been architected means that it can handle the volume, it can handle the volume of registrations, and we've built this residential service on top of that underlying platform. Obviously, residential customers don't need call queues and menus and call recording for most of the time, I would imagine. But all those features are available to add later if we get the feedback and we get the necessity to do so. That was kind of the underlying or the driving factor of actually trying to use the platform that we'd already built and expose it in a different way. One which is optimized for residential customers with a self-service portal, the ability to use the landline type of features that they've become accustomed to, like 1471, 141, but also be able to use that landline remotely through an app, which we just happen to have built. And again, right at the bottom here, importantly, fully rebrandable. Coming up, Q2 and beyond, some of these features and some more on the roadmap. The sort of immediate things to look out for are call monitoring and Whisper and Barge. We'd already been working on some video conferencing and instant messaging in what was last year going to be a separate product. So for this coming few months, we're intending to actually bring some of that functionality into the core platform. More CRM integrations. We're realizing that those are really sort of useful and really sticky. So again, partners who are using it and have customers using CRMs which we don't support and we don't integrate with, let us know, and we'll try to add them. We've got a nice framework for integrations, so it means that actually we can start to build the pool of them. G Suite integration. I know you guys are looking for some UI improvements, which tends to happen. I mean, those are sort of incremental changes, but again, based on feedback, and this is what we need all the time: is the feedback to help us to continue to grow the platform, to develop it, to move it forward, and to continue to empower the partners to be able to sell the best solution and product that they can. And then a bit later on in the year, we intend to expose the branding functionality through a GUI. So in other words, it means you as partners can actually then just make changes on the fly yourselves, and they will be reflected immediately into your suite of apps. That's coming. I am now just under 20 minutes ahead of myself, which is good, because I can take more questions.
Any questions for Charles? Yes.
I've got the mic, so I'll ask a question. Did I see you can set up the app originally with a QR code?
Yes, you'll be able to do that as well as logging in with the username and password that you would normally use to log into the portal.
Have you solved the problem of how do you scan a QR code using your phone that you want to set up?
No.
Okay, I just wondered if you got something.
No, we haven't. It's interesting problem actually. I've seen that. Actually, 1Password does that, doesn't it? I'm sure it does. Does anyone use 1Password?
Most people that have solved that, you scan the code on your computer.
Yes, but
Anymore.
if you use it, if you don't have your computer in front of you and you're logged into the place which is providing the QR code
I saw
on your
someone
phone.
where you could share the image with an app, and then it treated it as if you'd taken a photo. I can't think who that was though.
Ah, okay.
Sometimes you can press a button which activates your camera or opens your photo library. And if you're taking a screenshot, then it recognises it in the picture.
Okay,
I can't
thanks for
remember
that.
seeing that.
Yeah, yeah. That seems that would do it. Thank you.
Any
Any
more
others?
questions for Charles? Daniel, technical question.
Technical question.
No, it's more like because I was playing.
Speak into the mic, Daniel.
Yeah. As we spoke here about the authentication, have you thought also some other schema of authentication, or you still do this SIP digest authentication from the mobile app?
From the mobile app, it's a digest. Yeah,
Okay, because
we're not using any kind of ephemeral thing because it's a closed sort of closed infrastructure app. It's securely
okay.
stored anyway.
Okay. And since I have the mic, thanks for the contribution to Kamaile. Everyone was kind of pointing to me, but Charles actually did a lot of work to enhance Kamaile extension, as he mentioned here, a distributed message queue, but also presence and other. Thanks for that, and extending to Simon, which supported us as a project across many years, and our events along with that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel. Anybody else got any questions? No? Oh,
You can throw.
It's loud. It's more about the quality service you're going to offer around the residential piece. How are you going to get around the fluctuating changes in 3G, 4G, Wi-Fi network? You know, how are you going to offer an SLA based on quality for that?
I think at the moment the primary intended audience are going to be the altnets, those installing the fibre into the streets, directly to the premises. So obviously there's less of a fluctuation of service there. The codec in use is a big part of alleviating any perceived quality issues where network conditions are fluctuating. It's I don't think I don't think the challenge is any different to the challenge, the same challenge that we face with the business service. Perhaps it's just on a larger scale.
Okay.
So we obviously will continue to engineer things to make sure that the perceived quality of the call is as high as it can be.
Okay. Cool.
I'm not going to try and throw it that far.
Any more questions? Oh, Jared.
About scalability, how many extensions can you handle on an individual account, or do you have to split that across accounts once it gets to a certain number?
There is a technical limitation at the moment in terms of the number of extensions on the account, but only because of the length of the local extension number. So it's a 3-digit extension number, which means technically you can have 1,000 extensions, or just
Okay.
under. Yeah, but that's not. That's the only thing limiting it. So
It's an artificial
change in
limit on it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Having said that, sorry, just to further answer that, it is quite normal for larger customers on the platform to split their extensions across multiple accounts. That will either be on a per site basis, a per administrative unit of some kind basis. Busy Lampfield, extension calling, transfers, everything else works across accounts too. So it's actually not that much of a limitation.
Do you have any plans to support multi-factor authentication for logging in to the
portal?
The portal, the WebRTC app, or the phone app?
Yes.
And you mentioned G Suite integration. Is that going to include things like single sign-on?
Yes. Yes. So it's all part of the same larger piece of work around implementing some OAuth at our side, using other OAuth providers such as Google and others. That will then that will immediately enable single sign-on and two-factor auth along with it. Obviously, G Suite includes two-factor auth anyway, so just by virtue of integrating with Google for login, it gives us the two-factor auth there for those users. So yes, thanks for the question, Jason. Anyone else?